I would like to take this opportunity after presenting my report to the General Assembly and having heard also the comments and the questions from the delegates, the committee delegates, that I would like to highlight the main points of that report and that dialogue. First of all, the international debate about climate change has to date focused on pricing goods, pricing damages, promoting the commerce of carbon credits, the production of carbon-free goods, and technological innovations. However, current discussions are lacking concrete proposals to protect those worst affected by climate change, the poorest and those who live in vulnerable settlements. This is what we must now bring to the core of the climate change debate, which unfortunately I don't see that, and I don't see that in the drafts that has been circulating on Copenhagen final resolutions on that. Why? Because there is a very perverse coincidence today in irregular settlements and areas that are the most exposed to natural disasters which are being aggravated by climate change. Market mechanisms, and I would say unregulated market, result in locations at risk of flooding and landslides being left for the poorest. This population does not have the means to get insurance or to move to other places when they are really threatened by flooding, landslides, and other related disasters. The least developed countries and also small island states are particularly vulnerable. So I'm talking about here two types of vulnerability. One which is the poorest among the poor and those who live in irregular, unserviced, unplanned settlements in developing and least developed countries, mostly. But also I'm talking about small island states and the least developed countries who are also much more vulnerable. But also in developing countries and middle-income countries, the worst consequences will be suffered by the poorest, who also don't have the means to go green, means to change completely the way of life and to buy the possibility of renovating their settlements towards carbon-free housing and neighborhoods. State must prioritize investment in unserved and unplanned settlements. Those areas must be consolidated, must be urbanized, and better protected from climate change-related disasters. Their inhabitants must be protected without destroying their livelihoods and social organization. And I'm saying that without destroying their livelihoods and social organizations, because there is a danger here of using climate change and the unsafeness of the location of the poor, promoting resettlement and relocation of these communities to so-called safer places. Why I'm saying using as an excuse? Because, of course, when improved urbanization is not possible, and this is sometimes really happens, it's not possible to improve and to protect in situ the population. And even when we do that, some relocation to do the works is needed. So this is not, it's needed. but sometimes it's indispensable. But the states must observe human rights norms on evictions so as to treat people with dignity, to safeguard due process, to ensure appropriate housing alternatives, definitive and not temporary shelter, and guarantee full participation in decision-making of the community themselves. This is very important because we have learned already in post-disaster, post-tsunami reconstruction in some countries that some villages were entirely relocated in order to be resettled in a safer place, and they did not receive the permission to come back to restitute their lands. But then this vacant land became tourist resorts, for instance. So it was not safe enough to the people to live there, but it was suitable for tourist or commercial or industrial proposals. So that's why I'm raising this issue. And finally, the effects of climate change are disproportionately distributed, as the world's poorest people and nations who have contributed the least to man-made greenhouse emissions are those most affected by the impact of global warming. So human rights norms highlight the need for international cooperation to prevent the unequal burden falling mainly on those who are least able to shoulder it. Thank you very much.